high school, I was the overachiever. Debate society, campus paper, literary folio, performance club, name it, I was in it. Always in the honors program, and there, I was safe. 17 and invincible, thinking I was omniscient about the world. But just like Icarus, my arrogance paid its price when in my senior year, in a Jesuit-run Catholic high school, I gave a report about the merits of gay marriage. I spoke about what they would call evil, the unnatural union of two men. Well, my point was, there's just no reason to oppose it, and that love should trump hatred, bigotry, and ignorance. Yeah, sadly, after my 20-minute presentation, my religion teacher dismissed me, calling my views Marxist propaganda, as if communism or homosexuality were one-way tickets to hell. I flunked for the first time. As I walked out the classroom, the taunting statements, "Ay, bakla, bakla," surrounded me. I slouched in the cafeteria with a meager 30 pesos, barely enough for a banana, the pariah of the school. The words, "Ay, bakla, bakla," stuck in my head. You see. I never really came out of the closet. I mean, I knew I was gay since I was 7 when I had my first boy crush on the Red Ranger. The Blue Ranger, the Black Ranger, the Green Ranger, that's the White Ranger. But that's not the point. I never really defined myself as such until that moment, that is. Bakla ako. Ako'y bakla. I'm gay! I'm gay? In my small town, I felt like a big fish banging its tail against the bowl until it fell, crashing to the floor. And when I picked those pieces up, I was 19 and fresh, a first-year student of the theater, surrounded by people who spoke Marx, Black, and Ginsberg. I was home. From a provincial boy force-fed that his sexuality was a sin and that being gay meant being single or being a whore, I became part of a wider system. Older brothers were there, those who first paved the way. But they never held my hand, they never mollycoddled me, they never led me to the yellow brick road. But you know what? Instead, they painted my nails purple. They smoked the carpet and the grass and danced around like Celtic goddesses. And I'm not sure how Celtic goddesses dance, but that's it. We threw midnight raves, we owned bars, we'd sleep with all flavors of men, and then we'd go home and we'd ace our exams the next day. Wouldn't that be nice? That's nice. That I just partied all night realizing that being gay was nothing more than, well, being gay. That's a lie. That's a lie. It wasn't often that I partied. It wasn't often it was fun. And while it may have been often that I slept with lots of men, it wasn't always good. You see, when I mentioned that I grew up in the Philippines, a lot of people ask me, "What's it like to be gay there, boy?" Ancient Filipino society would put queer culture into a continuum. On one side, you have the more effeminate, the drag queens, those who romp around noontime television shows. And on the other, the westernized corporate queer, those who after working in an office 9 to 5 shed off their ties to frequent gay bars for a quick lay. This gentleman here knows what I mean. That's fine and dandy, but I can't just talk about what it means to be gay in the Philippines and talk simply about what it means to be gay. Loving a man does transcend the geography of culture, but if I were to discuss the Bakla as a cultural being, I can't just do away without discussing what it first means to be a Filipino who just so happens to like guys. Now see, the Philippines is a nation torn between two colonizers, the Spaniards and the Americans. From the Spaniards, we learn to be conservative, to be religious, to be devoted. And from the Americans, we learn to be agnostic, to be detached, to be liberal. Ripped by two ideologies, we edge ourselves towards the West, where freedom is good, where capitalism is good, where neoliberalism is good, and we edge ourselves towards that, yet we are still shackled by the tyranny of the Catholic cult, of landowners, of the social ethics that good boys do this. Good girls do that. Everyone else is a demon in a dress. A very ironic image, by the way, given that we have our pre-colonial babaylans, spiritual healers, mediums, and priestesses who were men in dresses. So this is where I'm coming from. I am a Filipino gay man, and I am conflicted. As a gay man, I belong to a very specific cross-section of society whose concerns may be a little bit personal, but on the other, I am a Filipino, and there I want to break out of that paradigm, want to fight for independence. I try to reconcile both, trying to be faithful to both creeds, justifying that I can be gay and progressive, that I can be gay and Marxist, that I can be gay and revolutionary. But every day is a struggle. When I worked to work, young kids would run around still shouting, "Ay, bakla, bakla!" The priest would slam the door in my face as I walked by the parish. I'd start to perspire as my rich colleagues drive past me to be 21 and naive indeed. When I get to work, I'd be surrounded by close-minded questions such as, so, which bathroom do you use? Or, don't you plan to marry and have kids? Or, even better, how do you feel about the eternal condemnation of your soul? And, you know what? Fine, let's get to the point. I did sleep with a lot of men. Frat men, drug addicts, young theater actors, closeted married men, Catholic acolytes, budding young politicians, and this was just a month before I left for Canada. I have been taken advantage of. I've been in abusive relationships. And sometimes I just close my eyes and chant to be 22 and hopeful. 22 and hopeful. Now that I have two homes, it's different being a Filipino here in Canada. On the plus side, I'm exotic, and you know it. On the downside, after the show. On the downside, I feel lost, a traitor, enjoying your civil liberties while my bakla brothers in the Philippines continue getting raped, murdered, abused, and dumped in water cans until they finally say that they're straight. Last year, after many years of silly debates, we finally passed the reproductive health law, controversial solely because it involved the government's responsibility for women, for rape victims, and for HIV patients. Whew, we have no anti-discrimination law, we have no equal rights law, and in the 2013 senatorial elections, only one candidate supported gay marriage. We are considered substandard citizens of a corrupt government of a country we do force ourselves to love. I'm grateful for all my experiences here. To be 23 and free! I know it's not a perfect system. I know you all do still deal with discrimination in one way or another. But at least you're part of a system that recognizes you as human beings. But please, don't get me wrong about gay life in the Philippines. It's not really that bad. You should see our gay bars. They're crowded, they're smoky, they're lustful, they're awesome. They just are. Because sometimes love, sex, and magic become forms of social protest. When I come back to the Philippines, I plan to become part of a massive uprising. A change I know can happen the same way that it's happening across the world.